Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and are done wrong. Here we go.
I'm Assistant Chief Megan Howard of the Houston Police Department. This critical incident briefing is intended to provide you with information about an officer-involved shooting that occurred in Houston on April 5th, 2023. You are about to see video footage that is related to this incident. HPD conducts thorough investigations into officer-involved shootings. These typically require investigators to interview multiple witnesses, view numerous hours of video footage, and analyze a significant amount of forensic evidence. It is important to note that we are in the very early stages of the investigation, and we continue to review additional evidence as it is collected and analyzed. The videos you are about to see can be graphic and may be difficult to watch. These videos may also contain strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. At approximately 5:50 p.m., Houston police officers were conducting surveillance at 2900 Broadhaven Drive when they observed Dontel Thomspon rob a store at gunpoint. He exited the business with a gun in his hand, jumping a fence into a nearby neighborhood. Mr. Thomspon ran toward a police officer. The officer gave verbal commands, then discharged his duty weapon, striking Mr. Thomspon. Officers rendered first aid to Mr. Thomspon before HFD paramedics transported him to the hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. No officers were injured.
It's all depth stuff right there. There. Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! I'm down. I'm down. I'm down. Turn around. Down. Good. Put your hands out. Somebody needs to go in. Hands out. Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands out. Roll over. Go in hand. Put your hands on that. Where y'all at? Hands on your back. That's good? You okay? We'll just leave it. Yeah, I know, but I don't want it. 2900 Hey, we just got medical. Get some medical gear out there. On the ground! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Shot. Get the fuck on the ground! I'm down. Turn around. There. Put your hands out! Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands out! Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands out! Roll over. Go in hands. Put your hands on your back. Where y'all at? Hands on your back.
Broadhaven.
That's it? Okay. Put your fucking hands up!
Shot.
I'm down. Get the fuck on the ground! I'm down. Turn around. Down. Turn. Hold on. Gun. Put your hands out. Somebody needs to go in. Hands out. Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands out. Roll over. I'm going hands. Put your hands on your back.
Where y'all at?
God damn. Hands on your back.
Broadhaven.
That's good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay?
Yeah.
Shot.
Come to you. Roll over. Put your hands out. Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands out. Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands out. Roll over. I'm going hands. Put your hands behind your back.
Where y'all at?
Hands behind your back.
Farhaven.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to.
2900 watts.
Hold over, just saddle.
Hey, we got medical. Get the medical gear up here.
Someone take this money.
Hey, so what's off the street? Right down the street over here.
Hey, we're gonna need another mark unit on the other side, or you
good.
block it off.
I need some med gloves. You got some gloves on you?
No.
Gloves.
Hey, who's got the medical glove?
Hey, just keep breathing, okay?
No, you're good. We need gloves.
I need some gloves.
Here. Huey, did you shoot? No,
Start cutting his clothes off. Start cutting his clothes off.
All right. So let's get into it. So I looked at a news article to kind of try and find some more information. I wasn't able to find a whole lot. But they did say in this news article from Breaking 911, officers with the North Patrol Division Crime Suppression Team were conducting surveillance at 2900 Broadhaven Drive on a possible robbery suspect who was observed entering a business and robbing employees at gunpoint. The suspect, Dontel Thomspon, exited the business with a gun in his hand, jumping a fence into a nearby neighborhood. As they attempted to arrest him, this happened. So it's not exactly clear to me what kind of surveillance they were conducting. Like, were they conducting surveillance on him and he didn't know and he was just out doing his criminal shit and robbed a place? Were they looking at some other place and this guy was completely oblivious to them and went and did his robbery, and just bad luck on his part that he did it right there in front of the police? I don't know. It's not 100% clear to me. But either way, this guy had apparently committed a robbery at this place, had gun in hand, and they were there to chase him. Now, when they start the video, it doesn't seem very clear, like, how long into this it is. So, like, was it immediately after he exited the store? Is this green building over here, like, near the store? Did he, jump over in here and this is where it starts? Was it a couple minutes after? Like, I don't know. That's not very clear either. I wish there was some more clearness on that.
Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
I like how the majority of them have rifles. I like that. One of my chief complaints when it comes to videos like this is officers neglecting to have rifles out when they need to be having them out. Rifles need to come out when there are high-risk scenarios going on where the likelihood of a gunfight is very high. If you know you're going to a gunfight, bring a rifle and bring your friends with rifles. So they're doing it right by having rifles out and multiple of them having rifles out. Rifles are way better than pistols. They are more accurate and the terminal ballistics are far superior to that of pistol. With a rifle, you have a longer barrel. You have more points of contact to hold that rifle. Your two hands, you've got it shouldered into your shoulder, got a cheek weld on it. If you got the sling, you can do the sling technique into your left arm and tension it into your body. You can get better stabilization on that rifle to minimize the most amount of movement as possible, and it has a longer barrel. And it's terminal ballistics. The kinetic energy that a rifle round dumps into a target is just devastating compared to a pistol. With a pistol, you have a very short barrel, and you only have 2 points of contact for that weapon. And you only have one good solid point of contact with that gun, and it's your dominant hand. And your non-dominant hand is wrapping around part of your dominant hand and touching part of the gun. So it's not even like your support hand is fully on that gun to begin with. So as far as being able to stabilize a handgun, it's just not that great. And the littlest amount of movement, just simply pulling the trigger, can interject a lot of movement into that weapon and cause your shot placement to be way off. And as I mentioned, the ballistics on it, it just sucks. And it doesn't matter if you got 9, 40, 45, 357. It don't matter. All pistol caliber ammunition sucks. So good on them for getting rifles out and having rifles out. I think there's a bit of a disconnect, a bit of a training issue when it comes to the implementation of rifles. I don't think that normal officers are being trained correctly in regards to rifles. I think there's a bit of a lack of a good fighting mindset with that. And I don't think that there's a whole lot of realistic training being done to instill in officers to go to rifle when they need to be going to rifle. And I also think in some places there's also some bullcrap administrative policies put in place. For example, officers having to write reports and notify supervisors and justifying why they got their rifle out or got the shotgun out. And when they have to do those bullshit things, they're less likely to get their rifle out because they don't want to write a report on getting a damn rifle out. So they just don't do it. Sadly, there are some agencies out there that are making officers write reports on when they pull their handgun out of their holster or when they pull their taser out of their holster. And that's a bad policy. That creates training scars. That creates operational scars. And when you force people to not pull those things out because they just don't want to write a damn report on it, you're putting them at risk because now you're making them less likely to have a weapon ready when they need to be having it ready, and you're putting them at a tactical disadvantage and putting them at risk of being seriously injured and or killed. So they had saturated the area, it looked like. They had multiple cars spread out, so it almost seemed like maybe a little bit of time had passed by as far as when they're trying to, get close to this guy, find out where he's at, because there's vehicles up this way, vehicles down this way. They're all kind of spread out a little bit.
Put your hands out! Somebody needs to go in. Hands out! Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands out! Roll over. Go in hand. Put your hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. That's good? Okay. Just leave it. Yeah, I know, but I don't want it. 2,900 blocks. Hey, he's got medical. This is medical gear out there. On the ground!
So he's pretty close to this officer here. So this looks like a business, maybe. Looks like a commercial building. So he might have just come out of there and they noticed the gun in his hand. Or he might have come over this fence. I don't know. It looked like he had been in somewhat of a downward position. Like maybe he just jumped and lost his footing. Or maybe he just kind of fell right there. I don't know. Or it could be that he came through that opening right there, saw them, and was like, "Oh shit, bro."
On the ground! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Shot! Get the fuck on the ground! I'm down!
So I've noticed his flashlight here seems like an awkward, I don't know, it just seems awkwardly placed right there. I don't know. Traditionally, they're like this one, a little bit higher. This one seems to be kind of in a lower position right there. At least it looked like it was. It could just be the angling on the.
Put your hands up! Somebody needs to go. Put your hands up! Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands up! Roll over. Roll over. Go in hands. Go in hands. Put your hands on your back.
We all right?
So they're all wearing plate carriers. You know, they got like regular blue jeans and stuff on. Some of them do. Like the guy who did the shooting, he's got blue jeans on and a blue polo. Others got t-shirts on. Just a varying degree of clothing here. So none of them have like actual true uniforms on. So that's typical of special units in law enforcement, not wearing like a traditional uniform. They got the plate carriers to be able to throw on in the event they want to go do stuff. But they also have some, I wouldn't say full-on duty belts, but they kind of appear in some way to have some portions of a full duty belt. Like they have tasers. You see a full duty belt, or not full duty belt, but you see an actual duty belt here, but it doesn't have like the full assortment of stuff on there. So they seem to be rocking with some of the most like necessary things to have on their equipment. Like they probably by policy have to have taser, stuff like that. So they're carrying that, but they don't have a traditional patrol uniform set on. And this is indicative of, like I said, specialized units. And don't have an issue with setups like that, but the problem that you run into when you go from having your kit set up one way and then going back to having it set up another way is how you train yourself for muscle memory. So one of the biggest reasons why I've never wanted to put a bunch of external stuff or put a bunch of stuff on my external vest when I could have is because there would be times where I would not be wearing an external vest and I would have the vest concealed under a uniform shirt. And I didn't want to run into the issue of being really used to having taser mounted to the vest and then go one day and wear a completely different setup and it be on the belt, or something on the belt be positioned a little bit differently due to having a external vest on, and then it being in a different spot when I put concealed vest on, and then that potentially end up in me reaching for an area that I am so instinctively used to, but it's in an actually different area at that moment. But I wasn't able to comprehend or process that under a stressful mindset. So the plate carriers are great, but unless some of this stuff is going to be used for like actual uniform stuff, like if they ever go out in actual uniforms and doing work, then I think those kind of setups, if it doesn't match what you would wear on a patrolish uniform setup, then I think you're in a way potentially setting yourself up for failure, because you could be so used to one way of grabbing and reaching for things, and then you've done that for months on end, and then you go into more traditional uniform look style setup or whatever, and then boom, you're like, oh shit, I reached for here for this, but it's not there. I gotta, here it is, right down here. But if this is all they're going to be doing, they're not going to be going back to a traditional uniform look. They're not going to go back to like a patrol thing. This is all they're going to do. Then that's fine. That's a decent setup. Same for like a SWAT team kind of thing, especially if it's a full-time SWAT team. If that's all they do, they're ran like a fire department. They just stay at the station until they get SWAT calls. That's great. For the agencies that don't do that and they got the SWAT teams just working patrol on a normal basis, now I think that the belt should remain the same as it was if you're working, and then everything else is just extra. That way, everything on your belt, you're used to where it's being at, same spot, everything. Just my take on it.
Somebody needs to go ahead. Put your hands up! Roll over. Roll over. Go in hands. Go in hands. Put your hands on your back. Put your hands up! Roll over. Roll over. Go in.
So it also maybe appears that this is just stuff that they don't wear on a regular basis either. They just throw it on, because you can see that this duty belt is riding completely up off of his pants right there. If he had been wearing this with belt keepers and stuff, would not be seeing this issue. So I would say that probably a lot of times some of this stuff is just kept in the trunk of their car, and they don't actually wear the full thing. They only throw this thing on when they're about to go do some high-risk things.
Hands, go in hands. Put your hands on your back.
We all right?
Hands on your back.
Put your fucking hands up!
Shot.
I'm down. Get the fuck on the ground! I'm down. Put your fucking hands up!
Shot.
I'm down. Get the fuck on the ground! I'm down. Put your fucking hands up!
Shot.
I'm down. Get the fuck on the ground! I'm down.
Shot.
So he's got the gun in his hand. It's very clear.
Put your fucking hands up!
I don't know if he hit him on this first round or not, but I'd say that definitely right here, he shot the guy.
Shot.
This dude was not afraid at all when running towards this officer with a gun. This is not the first time this dude has been running from the police. Very bold. Very bold to be running straight towards an obvious officer who has a freaking tactical vest and a helmet and a gun, and he's still running towards him. Super ballsy. Not the first time this guy's done anything like that before. And to have a gun in his hand too. Like zero fucks given that he's running towards an officer, gun in hand, running away. Like, very bold. He has probably been successful before and just running straight near an officer and keep on running and getting away. A lot of times these dudes will get away. They do. They do pretty well at running, and they can beat feet pretty well. And they ain't got to wear 20, 30 extra pounds of crap on their body. They ain't got to wear a big old vest, belt, and all this other gear to weigh them down. A lot of them are very physically active with basketball, so they'll hoop during the day, and they're oftentimes burglarizing and running from places, so they do stay fit. And they're successful with getting away with running like that. So he's probably done this countless times before, and it was nothing to him to be doing what he was doing. A lot of officers are reluctant to use deadly force, even when they should be using deadly force. So I would not be surprised at all if in the past this guy's done something similar and an officer who should have used deadly physical force neglected to use deadly force, and it only emboldened this guy to do more stuff like this. It just so happened the day he came across an officer who was switched on, properly trained, proper mindset, and did what they were supposed to do. It was on this day that this guy fucked around and found out.
I'm down.
Notice the handle of the gun as well.
Shot.
I'm down.
There appears to be some hand-colored thing kind of wrapped around the handle of it.
Shot.
They will wrap stuff. Sometimes you'll see like rubber bands around the handle of a gun, or like a cloth-ish kind of material. They'll do that to prevent like fingerprints being on the gun. Or some of them don't even know why they're doing it. They just see, like rap videos and photos of people that got stuff wrapped around the handle, and they want to imitate that, and they'll put that stuff on there as well. But he's got something kind of wrapped around this portion of the gun. Looks like the color of rubber bands, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was rubber bands.
Shot.
I'm down. Get the fuck on the ground. I'm down. Turn around. Down. Turn. Hold on. Gun. Put your hands out. Somebody needs to go in. Hands out. Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands out. Roll over. I'm going hands. Put your hands on your back.
Where y'all at?
God damn. Hands on your back.
Haven.
That's good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you see this? Oh, it's okay. Never mind.
Shot.
Coming to you. Roll over. Put your hands out. Put your hands out. Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands out. Somebody needs to go in. Put your hands out. Roll over. I'm going hands. Put your hands behind your back.
Where y'all at?
Hands behind your back.
Haven.
So it almost looks like he got shot in the hand. You see that material of the glove? Looks kind of torn and ripped, and of course you see the blood right there. So it looks like, let's go back to the shooting portion of the video. He might have raised his hand up as he was getting shot at.
Put your fucking hands up.
Shot.
Put your fucking hands up.
That's so hard to tell for sure, but
Put your fucking hands up.
yeah, it don't look like he put his hand out or anything, but he was so close, moving around. Looks like his hand got in the way, and he took a round to the hand right there.
Go hands. Put your hands behind your back.
You see what looks like a pop. Well, it doesn't look like there's a hole right there. There could be.
Roll over. I'm going hands. Put your hands behind your back.
Well, we see blood starting to come through there, so that was either where he popped him as he had turned, or that's where a round has come out from.
Where y'all at?
Hands behind your back.
Haven.
Of course, see blood right there on the arm from where he shot him from the side. Some people, some people question why people are handcuffed after they've been shot. Just because a person has been shot and they stop doing whatever it was they were doing does not mean that they're going to remain that way. They could decide to start fighting again, start becoming resistant, and so it's always just a good practice to put mechanical restraints on a person after an incident like this, even if they are appearing to be unconscious. Just because they are appearing to be unconscious does not mean that they're going to remain unconscious. They could wake back up. This has happened many times throughout histories of gunfights. One famous case that is often referenced in the training world is the Miami FBI shootout with a couple of bank robbers / armored car robbers. During the beginning of the gunfight, the first robber was shot in the head. It temporarily knocked him out, and he was able to wake back up later during this gunfight, get out of his vehicle, go back to the vehicle of an FBI agent, and get in it and attempt to drive off in it. Other instances of people being shot multiple times, continuing to fight, etc. Just things you just do not expect to be happening, and then they happen. Bullets are unpredictable. You don't know just because you shoot center mass into someone if it's going to have the desired effect or not. Bullets can ricochet off bones. Once they go inside a person, they can change trajectories. You just don't know what bullets are going to do. They're very unpredictable, and when you're dealing with handgun ammunition, it's underpowered anyway, so you don't always have the greatest effect with handgun ammunition. So everybody always gets cuffed after they have shown that they are violent, because they could become violent again. And if they do decide to start fighting again or become violent again, it's a whole lot harder for them to effectively fight you with their hands cuffed behind their back. It kind of restricts them in what they're able to do.
2900.
Pull over, get started.
Hey, we got medical. Get the medical gear up here.
Someone take this money.
Hey, so supposed to off the street, go all the way down the street over here.
Hey, we're gonna need another mark unit on the other side, or you can block it off.
I need some med gloves.
So he realizes that he should probably have gloves on. This guy's bleeding. Anytime you're dealing with people who have bodily fluids on them, you need to be protected. You need to assume that they have the worst thing possible. They got the AIDS, they got the hepatitis, etc. Assume they got it all. And especially with criminals. Criminals, they are not making the greatest decisions in life, obviously. And so they could have made some other bad decisions in life, like having sexual relations with the prostitute, having sex with the crackhead, other people who could be using needles, sharing needles, etc. And so they have a higher chance of actually having something. So always want to put gloves on before dealing with someone that has bodily fluids on them. He does have these, they look like mechanics work gloves, but blood can soak through those pretty easily. And so he's asking for med gloves. There is no good excuse why an officer does not have a pair of medical grade gloves on them. No good excuse whatsoever. Every officer should have medical grade gloves on them. The very nature of police work is dealing with crimes and having to prove that crimes were committed and collecting evidence. When you collect evidence, you should be wearing gloves so you don't contaminate the evidence. Also, the very nature of police work is dealing with filthy people. people covered in piss and shit, people who have not bathed in several days, people who got vomit and blood on them. You should always have a pair of like nitrile gloves on you. You should always have medical gear on you. So if you're gonna have medical gear, you should have a pair of gloves on you. It baffles me how some officers don't carry gloves on them. Like, where the fuck have you been at your whole career? You've never had to handle evidence. You've never dealt with people who are covered in blood or piss, shit, vomit, or just filthy ass people. Looking through people's bags, don't know what the hell's in them. Like, come on now. And they're so easy to carry. They take up hardly no space at all. They weigh next to nothing. Have them in your back pocket. The duty belt. There are glove pouches that you can put on your duty belt that take up hardly any room. They're not bulky. You can carry 2 pair of good gloves in those. Got a tactical vest with pouches and shit on it, and the ability to add pouches and stuff. No damn good excuse. You should be having gloves.
You got some gloves on you?
No.
Gloves.
Hey, who's got the medical glove?
And it's not just him. It's like multiple people around him. No one has gloves.
Hey, just keep breathing, okay?
No, you good. Who needs gloves?
I need some gloves. Just keep breathing, okay?
No, you good.
So we see a little bit more blood pooling up here on the ground. He's not saying much or moving a whole lot. I would say that he was probably having a quick spiral towards death at this point.
Who needs gloves?
I need some gloves.
Got a med kit that's come in here. Looks like probably a kit that was kind of made up. They just took a bag and added extra stuff into it. It's possible that this was a pre-made medical bag or something. I don't know. It's hard to say for sure. It's not like I see every single product out there that's made, but I just don't recognize a medical bag of this long, elongated shape. There's so many different vendors out there that have different products, different kinds of bags with medical stuff in it. And then that's one way of having medical gear. The other way of having medical gear is you get all the components that you want, and then you put them into a bag of your choosing. Or you get a bag that has some stuff in it, and then you buy more individual stuff and put it in that bag to beef it up.
Huey, did you shoot? No,
Start cutting his clothes off. Start cutting his clothes off. Start cutting his.
Okay, not much else to talk about with this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.